we're not expecting any more amendment votes this evening, any more votes or at least roll call votes, according to the reports we've heard and our producer on Capitol Hill, but it's likely we'll hear more debate. It is clear that Senator McConnell, the majority leader, would like to introduce amendments. Not sure if that will happen this evening. If all goes according to plan, the measure that passes out of the Senate may not happen until Tuesday or Wednesday. But one thing's for certain, the bulk data collection program, part of the Patriot Act, will expire. Those provisions will expire at midnight tonight. The U.S. House not even coming in until tomorrow at noon Eastern. Let's hear what you have to say. And by the way, you can also send us a tweet at C-SPAN. We'll try to read some of those and some of the reporting on Capitol Hill from the reporters there as this quorum call on the Senate floor continues. And like most of them, we don't know when they'll end. We'll begin with phones and go as far as we can here. Richmond, Kentucky. Josh, thanks for calling in.
I just want to make a comment about it.
Go ahead.
I think that breaking the Fourth Amendment with this surveillance bill is just totally wrong. That I think every politician takes an oath to the Constitution, and then to completely just wash it away and take this, and take our Fourth Amendment right away is not right. And I don't see how you could even take your oath serious when you're breaking the Fourth Amendment at the same time.
You're calling us from Kentucky, so what do you think about the apparent disagreement here between the views of the majority leader and senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, and Senator Rand Paul?
I think Mitch is out of touch with the people here and the people in America. If you're not taking a stand for the Fourth Amendment, that's the most important thing. And you, like I said, you take an oath to the Constitution when you serve office. So I mean, there's no other question about anything else when you're breaking the Fourth Amendment. Is my opinion on it.
Appreciate you weighing in. Tweet here from Lauren Victoria of the Root. She gets a picture of Senator Paul coming off the floor. Representative Thomas Massey and Justin Amash of Michigan there accompanying him. They had been on the Senate floor in the chamber during the debate earlier. And also from Kelly O'Donnell, looks like no plan for votes tonight, so Patriot Act provisions will expire at least briefly pending Senate action on the USA Freedom Act. Jesse is in Lebanon, Tennessee. Democrats line. What are your thoughts on the Senate debate you've seen and the issues at hand?
Well, as I was unable to catch the debate on the Senate, I was unable to see Senator Paul. I'd just seen it on the internet. But I just wanted to call and say that I only showed up to vote for Obama last time because Romney had stocked his foreign policy team, his advisors, with former Bush people. And I could not be counted against that. And it is the national security issues that are under debate today in the Senate, thankfully due to Senator Paul. And it's very possible that Democrats like me who have been worried about this we have no credibility if we don't call Obama a war criminal, just like we did Bush. Children are being killed by drone strikes in Pakistan every day, just like it was 8 years ago. Therefore, in a race between Hillary Clinton and Rand Paul, it's going to be a very, very close battle for my vote. And these national security issues, it's going to be very close. That's what I think.
Lisa Mascaro covers Capitol Hill for the Tribune and also the LA Times, and she tweets about how some of the candidates, the senators who've announced so far, voted on moving forward with the USA Freedom Act. She says how the 16ers are voting. USA Freedom Act. Cruz votes yes in favor of moving forward. Paul and Rubio vote no, and Senator Sanders, running as a Democrat, he's an independent, voting yes. What she doesn't have in there is from the vote reporting, Senator Graham did not vote this evening on moving forward. He is expected to make his announcement tomorrow on entering the 2016 race, and just want to let you know we will have live coverage of his announcement at 10:30 Eastern over on C-SPAN tomorrow morning. Winsted, Connecticut. Al, good evening. Go ahead.
You're asking about the debate?
Yeah.
I don't believe that there is a debate. It's been deemed unconstitutional, so end of debate. as far as the argument that it needs to be done to protect me as a citizen, to try to justify violating my privacy rights by trying to protect me is a moot point. You can't put one of my constitutional rights in front of the other. Hello?
Oh, thanks for your call. Daniel's in San Benito, Texas, on the Republican line.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine, thanks.
Hi, yeah, I'm just chiming in. I think it's totally screwed up that like the guy that said before me, there's even a debate because first of all, it defies our constitutional rights to privacy, and plus to that, I mean, I do agree with some surveillance to find actual terrorists, but bulk data is something I totally disagree with, and I'm really glad to see some Democrats working together with the Republicans who are against this. I think it's really cool to see that some people are actually taking some time to stand for our rights as citizens, and I was really happy to see that. I really hope that they have some success because it seems that they really care about us.
The bulk data collection programs will end tonight. Those provisions in the Patriot Act will expire tonight at midnight. We go to Steve in Venetia, Pennsylvania, who's on our Republican line. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, hi. I thought it was great coverage. Thank you for putting this on the air so people can see what's being discussed. I am a big supporter of Dr. Rand Paul, and I'm glad he's helped get this some light. And it was really great to see the Democrat Wyden talking about the issues and how well versed he is. I was very impressed with his ending comments, which I hope Americans can pay attention to the fact that we need to learn about public key encryption to protect our identities from identity theft, and to use free libre open source software to protect us from backdoors that the government has already been putting in and wants to put more in to the software that we use.
All right, here's Luke. Thanks for your call. Luke's next in Colleyville, Texas. Welcome.
Hi, look, I'm a young voter. I'm a Democratic Party member. I was just wondering if this issue is important, though, to other members of that party. Because, look, I've supported the Democrats this whole time, but they don't seem to be coming down as heavily on Rand Paul's side as others. Is there anyone else out there who feels this way?
Appreciate your call. Here's a tweet from, let me see if I can bring that up. This one from Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's campaign is tweeting, Congress should move ahead now with the USA Freedom Act, a good step forward in the ongoing efforts to protect our security and civil liberties. Her views reflected by Bob Goodlatte, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the House, calling on the Senate to pass that USA Freedom Act. So what they've done so far, 77-17 vote, the Senate this evening moving forward with debate on the USA Freedom Act, but they won't finish it, work on it tonight. Expect amendments to be added by the Senate with those provisions, the bulk data collection provisions, set to expire at midnight tonight. Other provisions too. Here is Hillsboro, Oregon, Independence Line. David, welcome.
Hey, yeah, I think this conversation should be essentially over. I mean, with the courts agreeing that these practices are illegal. The Senator Wyden and Senator Paul, it seems like they're the only ones that are really interested in taking their oath of office seriously. And as a one-time Obama supporter, when I took a lot of flack standing up for him and supporting him, and I'll never make that mistake again. He ran on the platforms that, he was saying that he was going to change a lot of things. He was going to change the foreign policy. He was against all these things, and he 180 his position. Although I think he made these promises. Some things are needed to change in Washington, and the only people that seem to be actually doing it are people like Rand Paul, Senator Wyden, and Justin Manchin. I think this conversation is over. We should watch how they do this, and if they don't, we should be taken to the streets and demanding. And why isn't anybody talking about the CIA director that's lying to Congress, and why isn't he being prosecuted? That man should be in jail. And Edward Snowden, he should be returning home with a Tinker Tape Parade.
During Senator Paul's comments, he did talk about the testimony of the CIA director. We covered a number of those hearings, and you can find them at cspan.org. You can also find the debate earlier from Senator Paul as well. Let's hear from Pohag, New York, and David. David on the Republican line. Is this David?
Hi. Yes.
Go ahead, David.
I just wanted to comment on how broken the Republican Party seems at this time, and how in this situation where Mitch McConnell seems to not be able to pass a vote, even though majority of the people, a majority of the senators would vote for this bill, and a large majority of the House already passed it. So I just am very frustrated, and I think it really shows that different factions of the Republican Party, especially Rand Paul, are starting a new line.
All right, here's Golden, Colorado. Bill on our Democrats line. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Bill. I'm fine, thank you.
I just want to make a comment that I think Congress is extremely out of touch with what Americans want. You can see that in the approval ratings. I don't know what type of person is willing to give up their liberties in order to be more secure. I am a veteran, and I would never give up any of my liberties whatsoever. I think that's terrible that people would even vote yes to consider that they should allow this to pass.
And your comments, Bill, reflected in a tweet here from J.D. Redding, who tweets that, do we realize that individual rights can be sacrificed for the nation, is what they said in Russia and Germany in the late 30s. Mrs. Harrington tweeting about Rand Paul, he's campaigning while being paid by the taxpayers. And just some commentary on watching the Senate on this Sunday evening. Sad night in the USA when more people are watching Dancing with the Stars instead of C-SPAN, or C-SPAN 2 in this case. Here's Cedar City, Utah. Blake is on the Republican line.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I just want to thank Senator Paul for his tireless efforts in defending our constitutional liberties and fighting for the Fourth Amendment. I think it's a disgrace to have senators like McCain and Graham in office, and what a disgrace they are to their oaths of office. And I think they need to go back and look at that oath again and re-examine themselves and re-examine that we need term limits, and they're the problem with this country.
Thanks for your call. Senator Graham, don't believe Senator Graham was in town. He certainly didn't vote, according to the Senate record, didn't vote in this moving forward with the USA Freedom Act. He is expected to make his campaign announcement tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern. We will cover that. We, of course, did hear from Senator McCain on the floor in a bit of back and forth, a lively back and forth with Senator Paul and Senator Dan Coats as well. John McCain voted against moving forward the last time around. That'd be a week ago Friday, but voted in favor this time. The vote in limiting debate or moving forward to debate on this motion to proceed on the USA Freedom Bill was 77 to 17. Let's go next to Miami, and it's Peter in Florida on our Independence line.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me on. I voted twice for Obama, and I just want to express my disappointment in this key issue. I mean, a lot of people have been giving Obama a lot of grief for a couple other things like Obamacare and a bunch of other domestic issues. And I think that this is one of those issues that cannot be defended. It's just a disgrace that anybody would want to have more regulation and a lack of transparency, like you said. I just want to give my 2 cents. Thank you so much.
Let me ask you, Peter, you said you voted for him twice, and the president in the past had called for an end to those provisions, but called in the last week or so for the Senate to pass what the House has passed, and the House passed that by a fairly overwhelming vote. I think that was 338 to 88 or something like that. So do you think the president has learned something perhaps he didn't know in running for president in 2008, 2012 that caused him to change his mind?
Sure. I think that, I think that he made a bunch of promises on the fact of him being this this figure of transparency and of open government, and now he wants to pass and he wants to continue with this Patriot Act. I think he did learn that a bunch of people, a lot of his base, a lot of his supporters are not in agreement with him on this key issue.
All right, let's go to Dave, who's with us in Romulus, Michigan, Democrats line.
I've always voted Democrat, but I appreciate what Rand Paul's doing. I admire that.
Do you think that when it comes down, if Rand Paul were running against, were the Republican nominee, could you see yourself voting for him over the Democratic nominee? You're on our Democrats line.
I could.
You could not?
I could.
You could. Okay. And this would be one of the reasons why?
It would be one of the reasons why. I appreciate what he's doing. I don't trust the government with everything. I don't.
Okay, here's Jeff next up in Memphis, Tennessee. Republican line. Hi, Jeff.
Hi. I just wanted to comment. I think Senator Paul made some good points about keeping the due process in with the law, and protecting the Constitution and making sure that the Constitution was there to, balance the government. And I really enjoyed the comment he made about how the speed of governments go and how they get the bills at the last moment,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't get enough time to really debate and go through it. And I really think that's important, that they just would have more time to debate and really go through and really line up these bills with the Constitution more, and I think that would that's what the American public would be wanting to have happen.
If you're just joining us, the Senate has been in since 4 o'clock this afternoon. They are in an extended quorum call here. They came in at 4 Eastern. Debate happened for about an hour or so, and gavelled out about 5 so that the Republican conference and Democratic caucus, the senators, could meet in their separate meetings. Came back a little bit after 6 o'clock. Senator McConnell came to the floor. I want to read you some of the National Journal and their reporting on what happened after that. They write that when the Senate reconvened, McConnell proposed a 2-week extension of the lone wolf and roving wiretap provisions of the Patriot Act, leaving aside the more controversial surveillance provision for the moment, but Senator Paul objected. Quote, "No part of the Patriot Act should be passed unless our targets are terrorists, not Americans," Paul said, as several supporters, many wearing Stand With Rand shirts, watched from the Senate gallery. In an impassioned plea from the Senate floor, McConnell conceded that the looming deadline had forced his hand to go forward with the Freedom Act, but that he still intended to offer amendments to change it from what passed the House. And the Senate eventually, shortly thereafter, went on to vote 77-17 to move forward to initial debate on that USA Freedom Act. A tweet here from Chad Pergram of Fox, who's their Capitol Hill producer, and some late news from Senator McConnell. He tweets that McConnell probably has to file cloture a second time to end debate on overall House-passed NSA bill, which would likely put passage on the bill, any final bill in the Senate, at some time Tuesday or Wednesday. Next up is John in Edmond, Oklahoma. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Jonathan. I'm a cybersecurity student at Rose State College in Midwest City. The senator from New Mexico, I believe, he spoke about the FBI director wanting backdoors and encryption.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to speak about how the NSA and the FBI is working to make everyone that uses the internet less safe. In the 90s, cryptography. Let me give a short background on cryptography. Cryptography is used to secure communications. A very simple example is the Caesar cipher, which was used by Julius Caesar. It's basically you shift each letter by 3, for example. So like A would become B, and that's just a very basic cipher. So in the 90s, cryptography was listed as munitions, and the export of strong cryptography was banned. and as a result, foreign countries could only use weak cryptography, which would be easily cracked. And so now it has recently come out that there's attacks on cryptography. Browsers and web servers have implemented backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
So now there are two attacks. One is the Freak attack, F-R-E-A-K, and another is the Logjam attack, L-O-G-J-A-M, where hackers can force web browsers to use weaker grade, export grade encryption, and therefore easily crack encryption and steal people's information. So what the federal government is doing is making everyone that uses the internet less safe, not safer. And I again want to say people should use open source cryptography software such as Tor, T-O-R, and PGP and OTR. And I want to say that Edward Snowden is a hero. Thank you, Edward Snowden. Thank you.
All right, here's Andrew in New York City on our Democrats line. We're talking about the Senate moving forward with the USA Freedom Act, with the bulk data collection programs of the Patriot Act set to expire tonight at midnight. Andrew, go ahead.
Hi there. I'm just calling in to say, I think the Patriot Act was a mistake in the beginning. Our response to terror attacks under Bush were part of the main objections I had to the Republican administration at the time. And unfortunately, I've just seen Obama's administration as being like two more of Bush. And the USA Freedom Act that's come out of the House is really a false reform in my eyes. I want to see nothing less than a full repeal of the Patriot Act, although I don't think that's too likely. I think even giving an inch on our privacy is too much, and that we would be better off hanging on to our liberties in that sense.
Well, we'll find out what the House will do when the Senate finishes its work sometime this week. The House comes back tomorrow for legislative work, back from their Memorial Day recess, noon Eastern, over on C-SPAN. Stewart's on the line from Lawrence, South Carolina. Go ahead, Republican caller.
Hello, yes. I'm an owner of an information technology company in South Carolina, and I'm very concerned that government has decided to trade our liberty for security. We strive for the highest levels of encryption to protect customers' data, and it is just appalling that government would jeopardize that. We should remember what Benjamin Franklin warned about, trading our liberty for security, and repeal the Patriot Act immediately. We will not forget the turncoats like Lindsey Graham who have forgotten our Fourth Amendment. Being here in South Carolina, we are not going to forget this. And I just want to say how proud I am of Rand Paul and Justin Amash and Thomas Massey for making the stand for all Americans, Republican, Democrat, Independent, it doesn't matter. And we will stand by the Constitution. We will not give up. So to John McCain and Lindsey Graham, we are here. We will not forget. Thank you.
All right, Stuart, Congressman Massey from Kentucky, Congressman Amash from Michigan had a little bit of a vigil going on in the Senate in the House during their pro forma sessions this week. I guess probably in their eyes, keeping an eye on things. Obviously, they're very strong proponents of getting rid of those provisions in the Patriot Act. They were in the Senate chamber today with Senator Paul as he spoke against the USA Freedom Act. Those provisions, the bulk data collection provisions, expire at midnight tonight. Let's go to Visalia, California, and Victor. Hello.
Hello. Yes, that is Visalia. Thank you for taking my call. My concern is, first of all, that it was obvious from the remarks of both Senator Paul and the senator from Oregon, as well as the senator from New Mexico, that as they went over the detailed provisions, they didn't believe that many senators had even read the law. They didn't believe that senators had even read the Patriot Act, the so-called Patriot Act. And they had to go over provision by provision, many of which were startling to me. And it occurs to me that just as a general rule, no senator or congressman should be allowed to vote unless they certify that they have read the bill. If they don't certify that they have read the bill, then they shouldn't be allowed to vote on it. And my last comment is with regard to Benjamin Franklin. I did look up that quote, and the exact quote is, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." So I don't see this as a partisan issue. It isn't Democrats versus Republicans in any sense. With that, I'll say goodbye.
Thanks, Victor. A couple people have mentioned that quote. Glad you looked it up and sourced it for us. A couple more calls here. We're going to show you some of the debate from earlier. Let's hear from Leah. Is it Leah in Manchester, New Hampshire?
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, my phone. I wanted to echo what everyone was saying about how grateful I am to the Republicans and the Democrats that stood there and fought for me tonight. And, you know, it really is sickening that the whole chamber is empty and they don't even listen. Not only do they not read the bills, but they don't even take the time to listen to the people that are making arguments on the other side. They're in such a bubble that it's literally amazing. And it's not only through cybersecurity that they make us less safe while they steal our freedoms and lie to us and tell us that it's necessary to keep us safe. They create the terrorists in the first place that we're all frightened by and fighting over. There was documents that just came out last week. They had been declassified, and they were gotten by this group, Judicial Watch. Mm-hmm. The only thing we've ever heard about it in the public is that the stuff about Benghazi. But that's not all that was in there. And they became public last week. They have created ISIS. They create these terrorists that they then use to make us afraid. And they stand there and they don't even listen to each other give debate from the floor. It is so disheartening to watch this as an American citizen. And I say to Republicans that are listening, you don't trust them in other aspects to govern. You think they can't be trusted in all these different areas. And here they lie under oath. They don't get any trouble for it. They tell us one thing, their expert reports tell us another. If you want to win against Hillary Clinton, you will choose Rand Paul, because you've heard Democrat after Democrat after Democrat come on the line here tonight and tell you that they would vote for Rand Paul. So if you don't vote for him, you don't believe in freedom and you don't want to win.
On what Leah said there in New Hampshire, a tweet from John who says that, wow, Democratic callers calling C-SPAN in droves to support Rand Paul and saying they'd vote for him in a general election. From Verna, makes you wonder if Rand would feel differently if he had access to the same info President Barack Obama is privy to. Nancy says Ron Wyden is a true patriot, highly intelligent, brave, strong, and his beliefs unafraid to tell truth to power. One more here from the website politics1.com. Their headline, U.S. Senator Rand Paul has won his floor fight to kill renewal of the Patriot Act. House will now advance scaled back alternative bill. The Senate will advance the scaled back bill, as a matter of fact. We're going to show you some of that debate in just a minute. A couple more calls, though. Let's hear from Phoenix, Arizona, and William on the independent line.
Hey, yes, thank you for having me. I wanted to make a couple points. First, one of the previous callers had mentioned that Senator Paul was using this pulpit to advance his political platform, and I just completely disagree with that sentiment. If anyone thinks this isn't the genuine conviction of Mr. Paul and his followers, they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know the Paul family, and they need to read up on the senator and his convictions. This segues into my second point about how he mentioned how 80% of people under 40 do not support continuation of the Patriot Act, or these provisions at least therein. I'm one of those individuals, and there's a fundamental shift happening. It's a generational shift with millennials, people of Snowden's age. The baby boomers are on their way out, and this new generation is on their way in, and things will drastically change in government from how they were before. common sense and sound principle of government will start to take over what's been going on for decades once our generation starts to take office. It's happened in Colorado. It's happened in Washington with the expansion of freedoms. And the current administration, everything is a lie coming out of them. The North Korea FBI hack was a lie. The ISIS hack of the Twitter feed was a lie. They're fear mongers, and people of the information age are smart enough to see that. So I just wanted to say that my biggest concern is that this FISA court, this secret court, is going to usurp the will of the electorate that the people elect, and in so doing, we'll cease to become a republic, and that is my biggest fear, that this secret court is going to usurp all these efforts and all the voices of the American people. So keep in mind, I mean, there needs to be some checks and balances on this court. It's unprecedented, and its opinions are unavailable to attorneys and to the public alike.
All right, we'll stay out west for a bit and hear from Marge in Moreno, California, Moreno Valley, California.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Marge Andrews. I am from Moreno Valley, California, originally from Nashville, Tennessee. But I would like to say, ever since President Obama has been in office, there's been a negative, and negative. And I also don't believe anything that Ryan Paul says. I do not trust any of the Republican Party, because ever since the president has been in office, it's been a spiral down, and it should stop. We as human beings should live like human beings, not live indifferent like people that's out of character. So that's all I have to say. They need to respect this president. Ryan Paul is just another person out there that wants to get in office, and as soon as he gets in office, guess what? He's going to do the same thing as the rest of the Congress. I get up at 4 o'clock every morning. I watch the news. I go to work. I come back home, and I watch the news. And it's sickening to hear the Congress do the way they're doing today. That's all I have to say. People better change their hearts. They better change their minds, because we are at the end, and God knows it, and He's taking it out. Thank you, and you have a wonderful evening.
I'm glad you're watching with us this evening, Marge. Let's hear from Philip next up in Palm Harbor, Florida. Go ahead, Philip.
All right, thanks for taking my call. I actually really want to just echo what everybody else has previously said. I'm actually a Republican, and the previous caller I'm in complete agreement with. Regarding this, I don't know if Rand Paul is gonna, if he does get elected, I would vote for him. But, who knows if he's going to backpedal like Obama did. And, the same thing goes for, women. If they vote for Hillary just because she's a woman, what's not to say, she's going to carry out the same thing. But my main comment was really regarding the USA Freedom Act. And I just, it does end the bulk collection of data. But, I want people to understand that it doesn't end mass surveillance. It's basically just, I work for a Silicon Valley company, and this basically just transitions from, an on-premise implementation to a cloud service.
Right.
It's really what it's doing. So, I really would echo a lot what everybody else said regarding open source software, because, then they can't, really get go into a company, because there really is no company. It's open source. But, it's just really just the evolution of technology, and I think, a lot of the people in the NSA are happy about it, because it's a lot less hardware to maintain. And that's really all I had to say.
All right, here's Lincoln, Nebraska. Andrew, good evening on the Republican line.
Hi. I would just like to say that I think it's kind of strange that any Republican will be for any collection, even the Freedom Act's toned down collection, because I thought these people were supposed to be fiscal conservatives. Like, can you only imagine how much money it must cost for them to bulk collect all of this, and and to store it and to hold it and analyze it? Like, how many tax dollars are being spent on workers to view all of this data, and it doesn't even prevent any terrorist
Well,
attacks.
what do you think, Andrew? What do you think has held it so strong through a Republican and now 2 Democratic administrations, 2 terms of President Obama, and Republican and Democratic Congresses? Why has it been such a strong element in our national security program?
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's the fear of post 9/11 craziness that, held it in place, that it was actually integral to our national security, but I just don't believe that anymore.
Keeping an eye on some of the floor. The Senate is still in session. We've been in an extended quorum call here for quite some time. We're going to show you some debate momentarily, and keeping an eye on some of what the reporters on Capitol Hill are hearing or following. Frank Thorpe, who covers Congress for NBC, a producer for them, tweets that Senate Republican leadership aide says that if Rand Paul wants a vote on any of his amendments, he would need unanimous consent, which he will not get. Senator Paul said in his comments on the floor that he would offer several amendments. One more call here to Parsippany, New Jersey, and on our Democrats line, Jennifer.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
I just wanted to say to all the Democrats who said that they're liking what Rand Paul has been saying and that they would vote for him, Bernie Sanders voted against the Patriot Act from the beginning. And what we have to remember is you're not just voting for the person, you're voting for an entire administration. Because you really have to look at not just this, but their entire foreign policy and the fact that they're going to be voting on the Supreme Court nominations, that they're going to be bringing in a lot of people in their separate cabinets, and that it's not just this issue. And there's a lot of people on the Democratic side, especially when you go to the far left and the far right, that they do meet. I mean, Rand Paul is working with Cory Booker and legislation for limiting prison terms. He does do a lot of stuff across the aisle, but it's a lot of stuff that the left-leaning and the far-right-leaning can agree on. You find that with Santorum, with him wanting to raise the minimum wage. I think that Paul Ryan's actually thinking about doing that, too. So you got to be careful when you start talking about who you're going to vote for to be the president.
And Senator Sanders did vote in favor of moving forward with debate this evening. So.
Yes, that's true. And as far as how people are conducting themselves on the floor, I thought that Senator Coates and McCain were the ones that were kind of sounding very fringy and lunatic-y when they were talking about the program. They kind of went off topic and started talking about ISIS. They're actually talking about nuclear bombs and them destroying, parts of Syria and all their antiquities, and kind of bringing up the fear-mongering and getting really off topic and kind of going into these scare tactics.
Well, we'll let you go there, Jennifer, because that's where we're going to pick up as this quorum call continues. We will take you back to just about the beginning of the day in the 4 o'clock hour to hear from Senator Coates, as Jennifer mentioned. Also, you'll hear from John McCain and from Senator Paul as this quorum call continues. Senate debate from earlier today here on C-SPAN 2.
Mr. President, a little surprised just to hear the senator from Vermont